Thomas and the Great Discovery, created by Britt Allcroft, illustrated by Tommy Stubbs, read by Papa Scott. Thomas and the Great Discovery. There's Thomas, right there. It was a beautiful day on the island of Sodor. Thomas was high in the hills, bringing some freight cars to the wharf. At the unfamiliar junction, he saw an old, overgrown track that looked like a shortcut. Soon he was rattling down the steep track. "No one has been down here for a very long time," he huffed. Then Thomas gasped, "Fizzling fireboxes!" He had arrived at a station. It, too, was overgrown, rusty, and very old. There were crumbling platforms, and the station building was covered in ivy. Thomas had never seen such an amazing sight. "What a funny place to have a station," he peeped and looked around some more. "There are so many buildings. It looks like an old town," he cried. "I cannot wait to tell everyone about this." So Thomas bumped and bashed along the old track and finally made his way down to the wharf. The next day, the news of Thomas's discovery was all over Sodor. Sir Topham Hatt wanted to visit the hidden town at once. "Thomas, you made a wonderful discovery. This was the town of Great Waterton when steam engines first came to Sodor," Sir Topham Hatt said. "This was an important town. It was called Great Waterton because the springs here provided water for everyone on the island." "Why does no one live here now?" puffed Thomas. "The springs ran dry, and the people left to live in new towns. The maps were lost. Everyone thought the town of Great Waterton was lost forever, too." "But now it's found," cheered Thomas. "And if we work hard," added Sir Topham Hatt, "we can have the rededication of the town on Sodor Day." In no time, all of Sodor was working hard to fix up Great Waterton. Because Thomas had rediscovered the town, Sir Topham Hatt put him in charge of all the repair work. It was also Thomas's responsibility to explore all the old tracks around Great Waterton. Thomas liked checking old lines, and he liked being in charge. He wanted to show everyone he could do everything. But one day there was trouble. Thomas was puffing too fast, and the track was too old. He toppled off the track. Harvey came to lift him back on, but Thomas was bumped and bruised and had to go to the works. While Thomas was at the works, a friendly new engine named Stanley was put in charge of the work at Great Waterton. When Thomas was as good as new, he hurried back to Great Waterton. A lot had changed. Sir Topham Hatt met Thomas. "Stanley has done a good job, so I have decided that Stanley will stay in charge and you will help him." Thomas's funnel flattened. He had lost the most important job of all. The next day, Stanley asked Thomas to shunt some freight cars. Thomas was very good at shunting freight cars, and he really liked doing it, but he didn't like Stanley telling him what to do. Still, he wanted to show how really useful he was, so he shunted freight cars all over Great Waterton. Then he remembered seeing an old freight car stuck in front of the abandoned Morgan's mine. "I'll bring that last one in, and Sir Topham Hatt will give me my old job back," Thomas smiled. At last, Thomas found the old freight car, and he buffered up. But he biffed the car too hard. It rolled forward and disappeared into the mine. "Cinders and ashes!" exclaimed Thomas. "Where did it go?" He moved ahead and peered inside. "I must finish the job," he huffed. I'll soon find that freight car." And Thomas puffed into the mine. It was very dark. Thomas was very happy he had a bright lamp. He looked ahead and saw the freight car rolling away down a slope. Then it disappeared around a bend. "Bust my buffers," puffed Thomas. "I'd better go after it." Thomas whizzed down the steep slope. "Whee!" he whistled. And "Whoa!" he cried. It was scary, but it was also very exciting. Thomas had almost caught up to the freight car. "You won't get away from me," he whistled happily. But Thomas didn't notice the junction ahead. The freight car whizzed to the right, but Thomas sped to the left and saw the tunnel ahead was blocked. "Oh, no!" cried Thomas as he crashed straight through the blocked tunnel and jumped the track. Now Thomas was deep in the mine in a dark tunnel. To top it off, his fire had gone out. His boiler would soon grow cold, and there was no one around to hear his whistle. The next morning, Stanley and the other engines arrived for work. "Where's Thomas?" Stanley asked. The engines looked around. Thomas wasn't there. Thomas was missing. It was the biggest calamity Sodor had ever known. Everyone looked for Thomas. They checked the quarries. They searched the docks. They toured every town. They scoured every hill and hunted every valley, but Thomas was nowhere to be found. And then Stanley had a thought. "Maybe Thomas is up on the forgotten tracks around Great Waterton. I'll look for him there." When Stanley was high up in the hills, he whistled and whistled. "Where are you, Thomas?" But only an echo came back. Stanley looked everywhere. Then he spotted Morgan's mine. Could Thomas have gone into the mine? Stanley wondered. He whistled one last time, and this time Thomas heard him. "It's Stanley!" he gasped. With his very last puff and his very last huff, Thomas blew his whistle as loudly as he could, and Stanley heard him. He slowly entered the dark mine. "Thomas!" he whistled happily. "Is that you?" Thomas had run out of puff. He couldn't whistle again. He could only wait and hope that Stanley would find him. It wasn't long before Thomas heard Stanley chuffing up behind him. "Stanley!" he peeped. "I'm very happy that you are here." "Thomas!" whistled Stanley. "I'm very happy to find you. Where have you been?" "I was trying to be a really useful engine," tooted Thomas. "Don't worry, Thomas," Stanley chuffed. "I'll have you back on the track in no time." Soon Stanley was coupled up to Thomas. He pulled and tugged. Thomas was heavy, but Stanley didn't give up. "I can do it," Stanley wheezed, and with a mighty heave he pulled his friend back onto the track. "Hooray!" tooted Thomas. Then there was a very loud crack. The valve in Stanley's boiler had burst. Stanley was a strong engine, but pulling Thomas had been too much. Now Stanley couldn't move. "Don't worry," whistled Thomas. "It's my turn to help you. With your coal, I can push you home," Stanley smiled. In no time at all, Thomas's boiler was bubbling and his steam was wheeshing. Thomas found an open siding, got behind Stanley, and started to push. "Here we go, Stanley," Thomas huffed happily. Stanley smiled back, and puff by puff, Thomas pushed Stanley up and out of the mine. The old tracks rattled and creaked, but Thomas didn't mind. He was happy and proud to push his new friend Stanley home. At last, Thomas and Stanley pulled into Great Waterton Junction. Thomas was tired, but he had never felt happier. When the other engines saw Thomas and Stanley, they tooted and whistled, and soon the sound of engine whistles echoed all around Great Waterton. The news quickly spread throughout Sodor. "Thomas has been found," the engines whistled. Sir Topham Hatt grandly proclaimed, "Stanley saved Thomas, and Thomas saved Stanley." For the next couple of days, everyone worked hard to get Great Waterton ready for Sodor Day. Now Thomas was happy and Stanley had come to Sodor. Thomas had a wonderful new friend, and just in time, everything was done. The weather for Sodor Day was perfect. Sir Topham Hatt arrived and beamed. "Well done to you all! This is the grandest Sodor Day ever!" He and Lady Hatt stood beside the red ribbon with a great big pair of scissors. "Thanks to Thomas, Great Waterton is no longer lost. And thanks to Stanley, the work was finished right on time. Welcome to the town of Great Waterton," boomed Sir Topham Hatt. Lady Hatt snipped the ribbon. "We're all really useful engines," puffed Thomas happily. "We couldn't have been prouder." The end.
Thomas and the School Trip, based on the Railway series by the Reverend W. Awdry, read by Papa Scott. Thomas and the School Trip. Illustrated by Owain Bell. It is a big day in the train yard. "Let's get ready," says Thomas the Tank Engine. Swish, swish, the train yard is ready. Rub, rub, scrub, scrub, the engines are bright and shiny. Blue, green, red, Thomas, Henry, and James are ready too. Even Sir Topham Hatt is ready. Ready for what? Children, on a school trip. Peep, peep. "Here they come," shouts Thomas. "Hello, hello," he puffs. "My name is Thomas. Watch me push, watch me pull." Thomas has lots of fun. But soon Thomas has to go. He has work to do on his branch line. Poor Thomas, he is sad. He wants to stay. He wants to play. Sir Topham Hatt has an idea. "Do your job, Thomas, then hurry back. You can take the children home. But remember, you cannot be late. You must be on time, or someone else will take the children." I will hurry, Thomas says. His coaches Annie and Clarabelle say, "We will hurry too." Chug, 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 all along the branch line, Thomas goes as fast as he can. Up a hill, over a bridge, through a tunnel, Thomas stops at every station. At last the work is done. Right on time, chugs Thomas. Now hurry back, puff Annie and Clarabelle. But Thomas cannot hurry. Thomas has to wait. And wait. And wait again. Oh no, will Thomas be late? Will James or Henry take the children home? Oh my, now what is that up ahead? It's Bertie the bus. He has broken down. Thomas wants to help, but then he will be late. Much too late. Stop or go, help or hurry. What should Thomas do? Screech! Thomas stops. He cannot leave his friend. "Will you take my passengers?" asks Bertie. "Look, it's the children. Bertie was taking them home." Hooray for Thomas! He has saved the day. The end.
Blue train, green train, Thomas and friends. Up comes the yellow sun. Blue train, Thomas starts his run. Green train, Percy sees the sun. Now his busy run is done. Well done, green train. Have fun, blue train. Peep, peep, clickety-clack. Blue train, Thomas on the track. Load up the brown cows, white eggs, green plows. Load up the blue bikes, red wagons, orange trikes. Load up the new toys, gifts for little girls and boys. The sun is yellow, the sun is round. The sun makes shadows on the ground. The clouds are gone, the sun is back. Blue train slows down on the track. Unload the brown cows, white eggs, green plows. Unload the blue bikes, red wagons, orange trikes. Unload the new toys for happy little girls and boys. Down goes the yellow sun. Blue train Thomas' day is done. Home now to the shed. Peep, peep. The shed is where Thomas can sleep. Well done, blue train. Have fun, green train. Up peeps the white moon. Green train starts soon. Peep, peep, clickety-clack. Green train Percy on the track. Load up all the mail and unload along the rail. Boxes of all shapes and sizes. Blue presents, red prizes. Green train Percy slows down. He picks some up and puts some down. Boxes of all shapes and sizes. Blue presents, red prizes. The moon is round, the moon is white. The moon makes shadows in the night. Up peeps the yellow sun. Green train Percy now is done. Home now to the shed. Peep, peep. The shed is where Percy can sleep. Blue train sees the sun. Time again to start his run. Well done, green train. Have fun, blue train. The end. Go, train, go! A companion book to Stop, Train, Stop. Read by Big Papa Scott. Here comes the judge in her big red hat. She has come to see the train show. Who will take the judge to the train show? Thomas will. Thomas will go. Thomas will take the judge to the show. Hurry, Thomas! Take me to the show. Take me there fast. Go, train, go! Clickety-clack, clickety-clack, up, up the hill. Thomas the tank engine goes faster than fast. Screech! Go the brakes. Thomas goes so slow. Slow, slow, slower than slow he goes. Hurry, Thomas! Why do you go so slow? Take me to the train show. Go, train, go! But Thomas cannot go. Thomas sees a goat. The goat is on the track. Peep, peep, goes Thomas. Bah! The goat jumps back. Clickety-clack, clickety-clack, down, down the hill. Thomas the Tank Engine goes faster than fast. Screech! Go the brakes. Thomas goes so slow, slow, slower than slow he goes. Hurry, Thomas! Why do you go so slow? Take me to the train show. Go, train, go! The tunnel is so dark. Slow, slow, slow he goes into the dark, dark, dark tunnel. And out the other side. Clickety-clack, clickety-clack, over a bridge. He's going so fast. He was going so fast, the judge lost her hat. Screech! Go the brakes. Thomas goes slow, 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 slow he goes. Hurry, Thomas! We're running late, you know. Take me to the train show. Go, train, go! But Thomas must go slow. There is a cow on the track. Moo, moo, goes the cow. Peep, peep, goes Thomas. The cow moves back. Clickety-clack, clickety-clack. Thomas the Tank Engine moves faster than fast. Screech! Go the brakes. Thomas goes slow, 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 slow he goes. Don't stop, Thomas. Go, train, go. Don't stop now. I'm late for the show. But Thomas must go slow. There are logs on the track. The crane engine clears the logs. Clickety-clack, clickety-clack. Around the logs goes Thomas, faster than fast. There is mud up ahead. The judge wants to go slow. Slow, little engine, slow, slow, slow. Watch out for the mud. Whoa, train, whoa! But Thomas cannot go slow. Thomas goes faster than fast. Into the mud. Splish, splash. Thomas goes fast. Past a town. Fast, fast. Past a dog. Faster still. Fast at last. Nothing can stop him. Nothing at all. No goat, no dark, no cow, no log. No crane, no mud. No town, no dog. This is the fastest that Thomas can go. Screech! Go the brakes. Good job, Thomas. We made it here at last. You are a little engine, but you go so fast. Here comes the judge. The train show begins. There are red trains and blue trains and old trains and new trains and a little blue engine covered in mud. What will the judge say? I like all the trains. You are all such fun. But the muddy little blue train is my favorite one. The end.
Stop, train, stop! Based on the Railway series by Reverend W. Awdry, read by Big Papa Scott. Every day Thomas the Tank Engine chugged from the start of his line to the end of his line and back again. "All aboard!" called the little blue engine's conductor. Every day Thomas and his coaches puffed along, not too fast, not too slow, and stopped at every station. They stopped at Knapford, where a little boy waved. They stopped at Elsbridge, where a spotted cow mooed. They stopped at Hackenbeck. People got on, people got off. One morning, the little blue engine said, "I'm tired of making stops. I am going to go from the start of the line to the end of the line without stopping." Clackety-clack, clackety-clack, away went the train without looking back. The little blue engine whizzed right by Knapford. The little boy hardly had time to wave. In the dining car, passengers bounced up and down in their seats. "Stop, train, stop! Stop on the spot! Our hot food's cold and our cold food's hot!" But the train didn't stop. It whizzed right by Elsbridge. The spotted cow hardly had time to moo. In the sleeping car, passengers bounced up and down in their beds. "Stop, train, stop! Don't go anymore! Our feet are on the ceiling, our heads are on the floor!" But the train didn't stop. It whizzed right by Hackenbeck. People could not get on, people could not get off. In the baggage car, trunks and bags and pets bounced all around. Splish! A fish splashed into a cat carrier. Meow! A cat tumbled into a bird cage. Squawk! A bird flew into a suitcase. "Stop!" they called. "Stop, train! Stop!" But the little blue engine and the long brown coaches didn't stop until screech! They reached the very last station. The train had gone all the way from the start of the line to the end of the line without stopping once. The passengers were not pleased. Their soup was cold, their ice cream was hot. Dresses were here, suits were there, fish wagged their tails, cats flew everywhere. And Thomas the Tank Engine did not feel happy either. He said, "I miss boys waving, I miss cows mooing, I miss people getting on and people getting off." So from then on, every day the train traveled not too fast and not too slow, and stopped at every station. Go, train, go! The end.